Thank you all very much. I want to welcome everyone to the Capitol today. I've been going to this luncheon for many years, and it's a real honor to host this time around. So thank you for honoring us with your presence, Taoiseach and Mr. President. I've always been very proud of our own family's Irish roots. My family comes from Graignamanagh, a town in Kilkenny County. My wife and I, we took our kids there last year to show them our Irish heritage and our roots. We went to one of the homesteads that my ancestors farmed, which is still being farmed by our cousins today. We looked into all of our roots. We even looked into my wife's Irish roots. It turns out that my wife comes from the Butler family. The Butler family lived in Kilkenny Castle. My family were the Ryans, who were the serfs who served the people, who served their people in Kilkenny Castle. And so it's kind of funny how history repeats itself. I told my wife that, and she said, yes, it is, and I don't mind repeating it. I'm also glad to welcome these two special guests, An Taoiseach and the President. Thank you for being here with us today. One of these gentlemen is a leader of a great nation with whom I share an ethnic heritage. The other is the Prime Minister of Ireland. You might not know this, but the president, like me, is of Irish descent. Then again, you probably should know it because he mentions it every year at this lunch. And yet, for all the Irish blood between us, we don't seem to have the luck that should go with it. I was astonished to learn that the Irish economy grew by an amazing 7% last year. So I asked An Taoiseach, Enda, what is your secret? Clearly lower taxes, better policies? He said, no, better Guinness. It's true, the Guinness does actually taste better over there. I don't know what it is. Anyway, we got to swapping stories. And as I told the Taoiseach when we visited him last year, our family comes from Graignamanagh, and we had a wonderful visit. When we went there, we walked through a graveyard where our ancestors were buried. We saw the abbey where our ancestors got married. And as we were walking through the graveyard, we came across a headstone with the inscription, "Here lies a politician and an honest man." And my youngest said, how do they fit two people in the same grave? There was a big event to welcome my family there in Graignamanagh, and it was wonderful. Dozens and dozens of the people from the town, which is right on the river across from Carlow, came out. And my cousin William O'Shea, he tied things up at the farm after showing us the farmhouse, and each of us took a rock to take back home to have on our mantle at home. And by the time William O'Shea got to the town center where we had this great event, he couldn't find a parking spot. He was driving all around looking for a space. And finally, out of frustration, he prayed. He said, Lord, please open up a spot for me so I can get to this event. I promise I will give up me whiskey, and I'll go to church every Sunday. And then the clouds opened, the sun opened up, and in front of him was a parking spot. And he said, never mind, Lord, I found one myself. So, if I could just be serious for a moment, I would say that the Irish have been long known as great storytellers. I don't think it's an accident that some of our best presidents have been as well. Storytelling is an act of defiance. It's a way of pushing back against the boredom, the tedium, the tragedy of life. It's how Lincoln fought off his sadness. It's how Ronald Reagan chased away his loneliness. And perhaps it's fitting that Kennedy, our first Irish Catholic president, was known for his sense of irony. If you ask me, it requires a kind of detachment, a clear-eyed view of the world, to stare into the rush of events and to sort of just see the joy of life. It seems to me what sharpened the Irish people's keen sense of humor was many, many years of hardship. Irish jokes, of course, are based on Irish stereotypes. These are stereotypes I frequently heard about from my own elders growing up. They were not always in good fun, but the Irish did not reject them. Instead, the Irish embraced them. They took what was meant to be a badge of shame, and they turned it into a badge of honor. It was a brilliant turn, a defiant one. The Irish are not the only people who have done this. Our country is full of them. But the Irish did it with such genius, with such stamina, such undeniable dignity, that they will always have our admiration. There will always be a special kinship between our two countries. And that is why we are here today. That is why Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill kicked this off many years ago, to show that admiration and to celebrate this kinship. It is an act of defiance to poke fun at your opponents and then to break bread with them. It is going against all odds to work with your opponents, to joke with them, and to pray with them. So, I would like to raise a toast to both of our countries. May we continue to grow in friendship, and may the people of Ireland forever stand proud, defiant, and free. Thank you, Sláinte.